Okay, welcome and thank you for joining us today for the third and final in our three-part series, Women in STEM. This event is made possible by a grant from Women's Foundation of Oklahoma. We very much appreciate them being willing to fund this, and I appreciate the vision and work of a couple of people from here at OSU-OKC. We've got Terry Kleinfelter, who's the department head of construction management, and Dr. Evan Berkala, the division head for STEM. So their idea was to highlight industries that are often overlooked by women as being viable career options. So today we're going to be looking at women in the power industry. I'll let them explain that more to you in just a bit. But first of all, OSU-OKC offers two-year associate degrees in power transmission and distribution. And one of our panelists actually graduated from here with that. So I'll be looking forward to hearing more about that, as I'm sure you are too. My name is Cheryl Heaton Powers. I'm an associate professor in business administration here at OSU-OKC, but mostly I want you all to learn more about these two people with me. So Andrea, would you like to start?
Sure. My name is Andrea Dennis. I am the Vice President of Transmission and Distribution Operations at Oklahoma Gas and Electric. In the electrical provider business, there's basically two main ways people get power, or two main activities that go into providing power. So there's the making of electricity, so power generation, and then there's the delivery part of delivering power. So the lines, all the wires, the poles. And so my team is the team that works on all of the poles and the wires. So it includes engineers, project managers, technicians, the control center, a variety of people, the linemen, all of those people that make the power delivery happen.
And your background was?
So my background is in engineering management. So my degree is in engineering management, and my master's degree is in engineering and global operations management. I started work at Xerox in chemical manufacturing. And I got very interested in like Six Sigma type work, so continuous improvement, total quality management, and Six Sigma. And that's actually how I transitioned over to OG&E. I joined their business performance improvement group and worked on improvement projects.
And how long have you been with OG&E?
I've been with OG&E almost 14 years.
Okay, very good. Rachel?
Yes, my name is Rachel Davis. I am the shift supervisor at OG&E in the Distribution Control Center. I've been there almost going on 15 years. I help manage the power grid in our department, which we had storms. That's what we usually do, is monitor the storms that comes at real time, and we manage it and restore customers safely in a timely manner.
Which you were doing yesterday, as a matter of fact, and probably
right.
again today.
And probably again today, that's correct.
Okay, and your background?
My background, I just started on my path into the electrical technology. I have a electrical technology certificate from More Norman Technology, and I started to like more of the electrical sector of the energy part, and I branched into coming to OSU-OKC. So I've been doing the energy portion ever since then.
Okay, and you graduated from here and then went straight to OG&E?
So as I was at OG&E, I started out as a meter reader. As an entry level of coming into OG&E, and I was finishing up my power transmission distribution technology degree here. And when I got impacted through the smart grid, which is a great thing of having the smart meters come online with the residential and industrial customers, and we are residential customers that we have. We used to read meters manually and go out and read meters on the ground. So now we have the smart grid, and it does it automatically. So that was great for me. I was finishing up my degree and got a job in the control center.
Okay.
With that.
So you kind of touched on this, but what inspired you to become a part of the power industry?
That's a good question. So my background wasn't initially to be in the electrical sector. I was in microbiology and the medical part of it. Then I got more inspired of, hey, maybe I want to do something different. And so doing the electrical portion of it, at More Norman Technology was really to install wires like commercial and residential customers, people that do just wire houses or like 7-Eleven or commercial side. I ended up graduating and I was looking for something much more into transformers. So like high voltages and things like that. And I ended up coming to OSU-OKC, and I met one of the deans here, as Mike Eckert at the time. And he was telling me that they don't have a particular program I was looking for, but try the pole line and climbing poles, and we have transformers up there. And so I was like, well, he asked me to come on a Saturday, and I pursued that. I came on a Saturday, and it's like, hey, why don't you try climbing a pole and see if you liked it? It was scary, but I ended up doing it, and I started liking coming into the class and meeting different people and seeing that, hey, this is something I probably like doing, right? So I just kept coming every day, and I started to like what I do. And then working at OG&E and getting to know what that business entails, I think it all just kind of blended together, and I started to like my path and where I was going.
That's a good fit for you.
Yeah.
Good. What about you, Andrea? How were you inspired? I know you started in a different industry, engineering background, but different industry. What inspired you to become a part of the power industry?
Well, my path is really through the continuous improvement, Six Sigma. I think I was always looking for something that was very impactful to society. And at Xerox, we made toner, and yeah, everybody likes to make copies and all that, but it isn't really life-changing. And I think the life-changing aspect of, really contributing to the greater good, and it is a powerful responsibility that we have. It's an honor. It's humbling to know that everybody uses the product that we make and deliver in everything they do all day long, every day. And that's to me, was an extremely attractive part of the industry. It's an exciting industry because there's a lot that's changing, and there's a lot of challenges that we have.
Yeah.
And people like Rachel do a great job of bringing the technology, and the way things work into our operation, and enable all of our people to be able to do a great job.
What are some of those changes that you're seeing in the industry? You mentioned that.
So a lot of there's a huge push for electrification. So a lot of things are becoming electrified. Our vehicles are becoming electrified. A lot of homes are 100% electricity driven. And all of those changes are pretty significant for us from a demand perspective. And then we have solar, and we have new generation types, batteries, the push for renewables, the push for cleaner energy, all of those things they just change our landscape quite a bit in the way we operate. The biggest one for us is probably two-way power flow. So having solar on our system, we're used to a central generation system where, we have large power plants that deliver power out, and power is flowing one way. And now when we have distributed energy resources, so power plants sitting all across our system, power is flowing in opposite directions. And that for us is a pretty significant challenge.
Interesting. Does that include when people have solar panels on their homes, pushing power back into the grid?
Yeah.
Yes, that's correct. Yeah, because that could be challenging too, because like she said, power flows, we deliver power one way to the customer. And now when people wants to have the solar is, backfeeding, it can be challenging for troubleshooters to go out. When they want to make repairs, we have to be aware that they also have another source of power that's delivering to the customer as well.
Okay, interesting. Okay, so what is your day-to-day like? You have a typical day in your job when you go to work. Is it typical?
I would say it's ever changing.
Okay.
I would say I'll speak first. It's ever changing because like right now, we can be experiencing a blue sky day right now. You're experiencing it. Oh, it's blue sky day, but OG&E covers, I think, 33,000 miles worth of lines, system wide. And like in Arkansas, we can be storm, it can be rain. And so we're probably, in real time trying to get the power back on and safely and, working with that. So, we cover different areas. So, it can fluctuate, anytime, just like the transmission, we can have a transmission outage or whatever the case brought that on, or something like wildlife got into a sub, because we have squirrels are our friends. So everything changed. You got the squirrels, you got the snakes, you got the birds, because our system is outside, so it can disrupt our infrastructure. And then, so I think it's ever moving parts all the time.
Is most of your work outside in the field, or is it office, or a combination?
Oh, my work is indoors.
Okay.
So we dispatch the outages to the guys out in the field, to the field personnel.
So you're coordinating all that.
Yes.
And leading the.
Yeah, monitoring the grid 24/7. It's 24/7 operation.
So when you were climbing a pole here, you did not expect to be doing that?
When I was climbing the pole here, I think that I was really wanting to be a substation relay tech initially.
So
right?
that was.
So we had some of that, some of those experiences. We had touched on a lot of different things in our class. So we did replacing pad mounts, underground primary lines. We installed poles, we climbed poles. We was able to see some of the switcher switches that operate the substation. So we had a lot of different exposure to a lot of different things. And so since I was already outside, I was already acclimated to working in the field. But I think climbing the pole and having so many things in my hands and different things like that, that was really challenging to me because, we're not used to working off of a pole, right? I would say I'm not used to working off of a pole. So bringing that equipment up there and stringing up a line, it can be challenging sometimes, but it was also fun working with the students because we was all doing it together and learning it. And so I still loved what I did because it was something new and different, something from, interacting with people out in the field, reading meters and dealing with bad dogs and things like that. So it was just something different. And so it was great. So
But you always kind of saw yourself going into leadership, it sounds like, and that's where you ended up.
So that's a great question. I think it kind of just morphed into that. I found myself liking to get to understand people and how they work. And I always tie in with how electrical lines, how we always know that our lines are all interconnected, right? We have fault. And then learning about people, we all interconnect in some form of way. And so, we have kind of like, I don't get along with this person. That's like a fault with us in the electrical sector. And we're looking to troubleshoot that, what caused that. So kind of like ties in hand in hand. So I liked the empowerment of people in my department and development. And so being a leader, I think it's just,
It's natural fit.
I think so. Maybe that's the word we can use. I enjoy what I do, and I like the leaders that we have that empowers us so that we can empower them. So it's just a great thing. It's a great thing for me.
That's great.
Mhm.
Andrea, how about you? Do you have typical days, or is it something different all the time, like Rachel?
It varies. I mean, operations can change pretty quickly what we're focused on. So we can go from having a day planned out where maybe we're talking about the investments we're going to make on our system, or we're talking about developing our members, or any of those kind of things, to having a storm where we're having a weather call, or we're shifting to talking about, something that occurred overnight, or something that we're expecting to have happen. I do sit in a lot of meetings, and my day is a lot of meetings.
Yes.
A lot of meetings. And
You all are smiling at least.
I thrive in my world. I enjoy it, and I think that's important because already it's stressful already, right? My department is really a stressful environment. So, being positive and being supportive to the guys in my group, in my sector, so it makes it easier. And I think by me enjoying what I like to do and where I'm at, makes it easier for them. And I think that just helps out.
Okay. So you all are supportive of each other. It sounds like the team does well. You support them, they are supportive of each other, and you all, sounds like, generally?
yeah,
I would think so, yes.
We have to operate as one team. There's not a group inside of transmission distribution operations that can really accomplish everything on their own. We need each other. And it's kind of perfectly structured that way, that we all have to work together. We come together as a team to make things happen. And then I think, hopefully the culture that we've created is, as individuals, we support each other, and we look to try to find, what do you want to do, and where can you add value, and what makes you feel fulfilled, and we'll figure out how to get you in those kind of roles.
Well, that leads us nicely into the next question. What's the best part of your job, and or something that what makes you proud to work in the industry?
So for me, the best part of my job is growing and developing people, finding opportunities for people that they may not see themselves in, but you see that they're gifted in, and helping them get in that, and helping them grow and shine and be very successful. That above anything, that is probably the highlight. About the industry. So, the interesting thing about our industry is that as utilities, we all talk to each other. So our peer companies across the United States, we work with each other. And so being able to have a group of people that I can talk to about challenges that we're having and seeing how they potentially have addressed them, I really like that part of the industry.
The idea sharing.
Idea sharing. Yep.
What about you? Something that makes you proud to work in the industry, or is that you would consider the best part of your job?
I echo Andrea, because that's basically what we do day to day. Speaking of STEM, we have, the science, technology, and engineering and mathematics, all that ties in with what we do. We look for the talent. I work with engineers closely. They help us support in what we need in our department, and also across the OG&E system, or, the business. So development and helping people find where they want to be and enjoy, and let them, shine where they are. I think I like that part, and I think we do a great job in doing that.
You mentioned STEM,
Mhm.
and this series is Women in STEM.
Mhm.
Are you one of many women in your area, your industry, or one of the few, would you say?
We're a few.
Okay.
Yeah,
It's
yes,
growing.
It's growing.
but we're still definitely part
Mhm.
of the few.
Are there some challenges with that? What are some challenges you faced as being a woman in STEM generally, or in power industry?
So I think
I feel like the
challenges.
hesitation's a good thing.
Well,
Maybe there haven't been a lot of challenges for that.
I think there's a lot. I think there are challenges. I think sometimes I think what I struggle with is identifying, is it a challenge because we're women in STEM, or is it just challenges? And I think that so I have 4 kids, and I think that for me in my career path, that's been a challenge, the work-life balance, figuring out how do you balance your personal life. I think probably the biggest challenge that I had early in my career was a lot of I feel like I was told I couldn't be myself, that I couldn't like the things that I liked, that I needed to, look at my male counterparts and figure out what they did, and how do I emulate that. And I think it was very, very bad advice. I think the number one thing women can do is be themselves, because women add a lot of value in the way we think differently. And we need everybody.
I agree.
Okay, so work-life balance, how did you figure out how to do that?
So I honestly, I don't know that you ever figure it out. I think it's a moment by moment, day to day kind of challenge, looking at what's on your schedule, what's on your kids' schedule, and figuring out how you make the right decision. I will say, and what I try to instill in our organization is your family really needs to come first. And that Valentine's Day party of your kindergartner is only going to happen one time. That meeting that you think you can't miss, and in 10 years, no one will remember if you were there or not. Your child will remember if you were at their Valentine's Day party. And so that balance that all miss because we do have weather on holidays,
Yeah.
unfortunately. And I'm sure you've missed plenty of
I have.
birthdays and holidays. I know I have as well. And there are times when the trade-off is really, really hard. But I also know that my kids had a major event here in April and in the middle of a storm. And I went to my kids' event, and that's the decision I want all of us to make.
Yes.
Okay. What about you? What challenges have you run across?
I think, you know, I'm with Andrea. I didn't really have a challenge. I think the challenge was probably, wow, just had some great support. I can't really think of any challenges I've actually had because I had so much support in what I did. Probably managing what I do. It's probably, maybe the challenge was probably the not getting a job that I wanted, probably because, just because it's male dominant. But maybe that as, but I think overall as challenges is, you will have those work-life balances depending on the job or the task that you're pursuing. So mine, I was just very driven and motivated, and I think I was very skillful in. I also have a child as well. So, managing the life work and balancing, we actually support the guys, because I work with a lot of guys in my department, and we encourage them, hey, if this is what you have, you might want to look into that and we can support you in that. And we want to give them the quality of life because, like she said, you can miss those birthdays and Valentine's days and things like that. We want to help them be able to get to that or make that happen. So we encourage that too.
Okay, regardless of who
Yeah.
it is. Okay. So if you could go back in time, what do you wish you would have known? And I think you said you got some bad advice once, but maybe thinking before that, when you were considering the career or the industry, what do you wish you would have known if you could go back in time where you started in this?
I would say I wish I would have known I like electricity so much.
So that you could start earlier?
I would have started earlier. I think I would have started earlier on because I enjoy getting the lights on, troubleshooting, all of those. I really enjoy it. I like making things work. And so working with people, I find is an enjoyment to learn people, get to know them. I wish I would have pursued it early on. I got it later on. I was 28 at the time. So if I think I would have known that probably maybe 16, 17, 18, I think my life probably would have went a little differently. I probably would have still ended up at OG&E because I like OG&E. I knew about OG&E when I was in my younger days. So I was pursuing that even when I was at More Armor Technology. I was like, hey, I'm going to work for OG&E. I didn't know what I was going to do, but I found that substation was I thought would be my path. I still work with substation guys, but not in the field. But I think I would have started electricity early on in life.
I would agree that that's probably my what I wish I would have known as well. More about the industry. This industry really wasn't on my radar at all when I was in college or when I graduated from college.
Why do you think that is?
I don't know, honestly. I mean, so I did not like my electrical engineering class. It was my least favorite class in college.
That's irony.
Yeah, but I never, so even my electrical engineering friends, I heard, talk about communications and talk about, computer technology and all of those kind of things. And no one ever really, where I was, no one ever really talked about the power industry. And I grew up in Wyoming, and it's a lot of co-ops and rural electric. And so the investor-owned utility was new to me when I moved here. I hadn't really paid attention, but I wish I'd known more about the industry because I think there's so many things that you can do. And it's an exciting industry that's been evolving for a very, very long time, and it continues to evolve, and we need a lot of smart people. And so I wish I would have known more about it earlier.
So do you think like a mentor could be helpful to people? I feel like you're mentoring some people right now just by saying these things and being recorded, but do you think mentors would be helpful? And did you all have one in the industry?
I didn't have a mentor.
Okay.
I just, started my way, and I had people supporting my idea,
Okay.
right? So I wanted to do something different. I knew that, and I needed to make more money. And I wasn't afraid to whatever that was, right? So I knew I couldn't just stay where I was, and I need to do something different. So trying out the electrical industrial program at More Norman Technology was like, wow, this is really amazing. Just trying it. I didn't want to do sewing because I know that's not, I'm not going to do no sewing. I'm not down to the people who sew. I just knew me. I didn't want to do that. And I liked to work with my hands and take care of my hands. I used to repair parts on my car with my dad. So I had some tinkering, skills and some troubleshooting skills. But getting into the electrical portion, I was like, wow, man, this is really great. Wiring it perfectly. My instructors was really great. And I was the only woman in my class and comprised by a lot of guys. So, my mom calls me a trailblazer because I was in a lot of by myself, but it didn't dampen me at all. I still wanted to pursue it because my mission, I needed to make some money and I needed to keep going where the money, follow the yellow brick road was my idea, right?
Well, and you like
And I knew electrical and, like you find electrical, plumbing, HVAC, those trades, that's where the money was. And so I desired more after I graduated from More Norman Technology. And when I met with Mike Eckert, I feel like he mentored me into like, hey, have you thought about this? Why don't you give it a try? And by me just doing that, opened up, a lot of doors for me, right? So, and then I was able to be exposed to a lot of different things with the power grid. Like, we had the wind farm. I think that was rolling out at the time. And then we had the substation. So, I didn't have to just be fixed onto one thing. I think I had a variety I could choose from in the electrical sector.
And it
So,
sounds like you had a bit of mentorship or not guidance, but just maybe support from the people in education initially.
yes,
Okay.
I would say so, because also some of the instructors are also from OG&E. We had some
Okay.
guys who was teaching a class from OG&E, and it was encouraging us, hey, why don't you try out this and try out that? So, that was really great. It wasn't like, oh, they seem to love their job. Let me say it like that. So I think it rolled off, and I see how they wanted to teach and provide that to us so that, it'll help us in our career path.
Great. Andrea, how about you? Did you have a mentor? Do you think that kind of thing is important?
So I think mentors are important. I think advocates are important. I don't know that I've ever had the formal sit down relationship with someone, just said, will you be my mentor kind of relationship. I've had a lot of people who've helped, who've been kind of I feel like are my team that I go to and ask for help and guidance, bounce ideas off of. And I think mentorship is very important. I think it's important to have people that care about you and will say tough things to you. And I know some of the, even at OG&E, one of the women that I worked for, when I would face challenges, I would schedule time with her and sit down and talk with her, and she would push back on me. And I always left her office frustrated because I'm like, I just wanted someone to go, it's going to be all right. And all these kind of things. But she would challenge me to approach the situation differently. I would walk out of her office every single time going, I'm never going to talk to her again. But I'd always go back. And I think being challenged, having those people that will push you and maybe even have I call it the step it up conversation with you. I think it's important.
Okay. If you meet a woman who's considering going into the power industry, what advice would you have for her? Of any age, high school, middle school. I know they start looking at that kind of thing in middle school. What kind of career path, or a second career person? What advice?
I would say I had one of those members come into my department. We actually hired her. She's from a totally different background, and so I think my mindset was to her like, hey, you may not understand what you're getting involved in, but keep giving it a try. Keep coming back to it, right? Keep trying and let me help you ask. So I think that mentorship, that support, giving guidance you found her there, right? She's there, she wants to be there. I think me pushing them, and they might have a hidden talent they don't know nothing about. Like in my department, some people come in there and find it intimidating because we have this big media wall and all this information coming to you all at once. So, going out and you already have the motivation and the drive, just, I think, just do it, I would say.
Okay.
Give it a try.
Persistence and finding a
Yes,
mentor. It sounds like might
that's
be your
right.
advice. Okay.
Yes.
How about you? What advice?
I would say be curious, ask questions. I think intellectual curiosity is something that I think I like to see. You really get to know what yourself, number one, what do you like to do? Because it's easier for us to help people find kind of their niche if they understand what they like and what they don't like to do as well. But understand, ask a lot of questions, get to know why do we do the things that we do. Ask questions and don't be deterred when maybe people don't have the answer, or you feel like the answer that you got isn't the answer that you expected. Continue to ask questions.
Great. So I'm gonna let you all tell me what you think we have not covered yet that is important to do, but I'm first gonna find out if we have any questions from our online group yet. Not at this point. So if they send something, this is a good time if you want to ask questions. So if they send that, let me know. But until then, what do you all want to cover that we did not? What's something you think is important to share with people about the power industry or a woman in STEM, anything related to that?
So I think we've touched on that the industry is changing, that there's a lot of exciting things happening. And I think that it is an exciting time to be part of the industry. There's a lot of challenges with extreme weather and all the weather events that we have with, pressure for renewables and all of those things, but all those things are huge opportunities as well. And they're a great place to get involved, and we need smart people.
You would like to encourage people
I
to
would like
seriously
to
consider.
When we have a variety of jobs, I mean, we have leadership jobs, we have jobs that monitor our system, we have technical jobs,
Yes.
and not everybody has to climb a pole. And
That's right.
we love the people that climb
We do
poles
like the
because
people
we
that
need
climb
those
poles.
people too.
That's right.
But engineering, the technicians, I mean, everything, even all of the stuff that Rachel uses to monitor our system, people have to build all of those
Yes.
screens.
The IT
And
department.
it's huge.
Yeah,
There's
it
just
is.
analytics data. We have a plethora of
Yes.
data right now.
Yes. That is true.
And
That's
we're
true.
constantly looking to understand more about what's happening and how do we do more and better with what we have.
What are your thoughts on that? Anything we haven't covered that you'd like to mention to everyone?
No, I would just say I would encourage people to go out and give it a try. I know if I let fear drive me, I don't think I'd be here today. I think I'd be doing something differently. So if you think you want to pursue and that's anything that could be, right? Because we're just talking to people in general. If there's something you really want to do, I would say give it a try and see if you like it. And like Andrea said, ask questions as you go, be curious. If you're curious about it, try it out and see where it takes you.
It's okay to explore.
It is.
Okay.
Yes.
It's okay to explore, and it's okay not to have the entire kind of path mapped out. Just take the next step.
Yes.
And the next step may be forward, the next step after that maybe to the side, and they all kind of lead in different places. Don't be afraid to say yes. Don't be afraid to say no.
Yes, that's a good one too. Don't be afraid to say no, right? You might find yourself in a jam, or that's a good one too. Don't be afraid to say no. We tend to say yes a lot,
But
so.
if you find yourself on a path that's not the right fit for you, it's okay to divert, say no, and go to try exploring something else.
Yes.
Sounds like too.
And I think those are hard conversations. I know I had an engineer one time reporting to me and in the control center, and he was not a good fit for the control center. And and he was not doing well, and I was getting a lot of complaints. And I finally sat down and talked with him and said, I just don't think you're cut out for this kind of conversation. And he's like, oh, thank goodness you said it, because I don't think I am either. And I'm like, okay. And I think, finding the environments where you have people that are going to help you figure it out. If you take a step and it's not the right step for you, knowing that you're going to be able to take a different one, I think it's important. And I want people to try things. And because it's, for me, if you try something and it's not what you want to do, that isn't failure, that's a success, because now that's not what you want to do. Let's try something else.
Yeah. That's great advice. I appreciate that very much. So I thank you again, Rachel and Andrea, for joining us for this and telling us all these amazing things about your industry and your journey through this industry. We appreciate you all being here. And again, the Women's Foundation of Oklahoma for providing the grant for this. If you would like to see the other two, or even this one later, they're posted online. So we'd love it if you take a look at those. But thank you again for joining us, and thank you all for being here.
Thank you.
Any questions? Really good. Okay. I want to count it off if we have questions.
So go ahead and type in.
While we're waiting on those, do you have any long-term goals?
Long-term goals.
Well,
Different
I've
than-
always wanted to later in life become an adjunct teacher to teach about electrical theory. I saw how my instructors poured their lives into us, and I wanted to do the same later in life.
My name is.
No, later.
Hello.
I have to say, teaching is great fun. I
Yes.
very much enjoy it, and I saw some eyes light up over there in the STEM division when you said that. So
Oh, you-
I did, yeah. A thumbs up.
Okay, so good.
It'd be
I
great to have
really,
you join the team.
okay, I really think, I pour a lot of myself into my team. And so I find like just learning the basic of,
Go ahead and
you
send
know,
that so that they'll
I
know
just
that
have
you
some great
knew.
leaders, and I feel
Then you
like
can
that's
ask
what I would like to
questions.
pursue and do.
I want to find more Rachels.
Long-term
Yes. Find more people like Rachel.
Yeah.
I want to continue to be part of the industry growing and evolving and meeting all the challenges that we have, and continuing to make OG&E a strong place for people to work and have a foundation and build their lives. I think is important.
Yes, but
Be on the forefront of the
Yeah.
industry too. Did they ever get their questions? Maybe they need a typing course a little faster. Let's see, what else do we have? Let's see, network. Is there any kind of networking with power industry? I know construction has some sort of women in construction network. Do you all have anything like that in the power industry?
There's a lot of different organizations. So locally, there's organizations of women in energy.
Okay.
And so especially in this part of the country, energy can incorporate our oil and gas counterparts as well, which is exciting. As an industry, we have a lot of industry committees and organizations that we participate in, or that are available for people to participate in. So there's a lot of opportunities.
Do you find that kind of networking helpful?
I find it very helpful.
Okay.
And I think it's a good way to learn about the industry. I think it's a good way to learn about, I am on some women, like an executive women in energy kind of group, and that's exciting to be part of, because it's a good place to share challenges.
Okay, good. Well, so that might be some of your advice then, getting involved in some of those networking groups.
Oh yeah, and even when you're in school, I mean, being able to be part of women in engineering programs, or whatever programs exist on campus. Even at OG&E, we have resource groups. That we have a women's together resource group, and it's a super high energy group that is it's great to
it's
be
really
part
good.
of, and you get to learn a lot about the other parts of the company maybe that we don't work in.
Okay, interesting. Let's see. Here's one of our questions. Where do you see the power industry in 5 years?
In 5 years.
5. So you've talked about the changes a lot, but what's it going to look like in 5 years, do you think?
So from the power delivery perspective, we'll continue to see growth of, solar, customer solar, our own utility kind of solar, batteries will probably play a bigger part. I think the electric vehicles in that time frame are expected to continue to grow. And so I think the electrification piece, along with the generation, that's probably a big part of the changes.
And when you talk about batteries, you're talking about storage.
Storage.
Like we're talking massive, not the little AA batteries we put in our remotes.
Right, yes, yeah, so storage for either kind of really large utility kind of scale things, or batteries that people have at their home for storage, like the power wall, those kind of things.
Okay, what about you? What changes? What do you see the industry looking like in 5 years? Where do you see the power industry in 5 years?
Well, as you know, like Andrea said, I echo what she says, is that, we're all seeing innovation, right? There's always the electrical cars, and we're requiring is a more demand. We're seeing younger kids now having tablets, people working from home, it's more load is required now. And so I think we're going to change with the time, like if you can look 5 years behind you where we were and where we are today, and you can kind of foresee where we are. I think it's great where we're going to, even though there's challenges to get there. But I think the industry will be there, let's hope it'll be there, because
Yeah.
it's the
And larger, it sounds like.
yeah.
So
Okay.
one of the things Rachel touched on smart grids, and when we deployed all of our smart meters, and that was kind of a pivotal moment for the industry. And a lot of what we talked about at the time was a lot more of the information is going to be the control center is going to see more and be able to make more decisions.
Mhm.
And that's exactly what we've seen.
Yeah,
And
we have changed a lot with the demand of time and the demand of what we need. It drives what people require, or what's required more of us. It changes how we work in our day to day.
so you
So-
think about a power outage that would have happened, 10 years ago, and we would have had people patrolling. So
Mhm.
our troubleshooters would
Patrolling the
patrol to find the fault. Today, we have programs that will find the fault, and
That's
then
right.
we
Just send
can
them directly.
send people directly. And so I think that will continue to advance the use of data and technology to make our response faster, to make
restoration quicker.
Yeah.
Because like she also said, when the guys would patrol the line, we asked them to go, switch the line. Now we can do it. We have the technology to do it from our desk, or it does it by not seeing, by seeing a fault, it can switch and restore power. We didn't have that at one point. So
Not that long ago.
yeah, I think we're advancing really good. It's just to see that I think a lot of people like that. I don't think they see it, but it actually happens, like where we would have been off for probably 10 hours, 8 hours, 6 hours, depending on the severity of damage. Well, we have that equipment, the technology now to restore service, as many as customers as we can, right? So it didn't used to be like that before.
Well, and in minutes rather
Right.
than hours
That's
now.
correct.
Okay, very interesting. That was a great question. It looks like we have another question. You can just holler it out. What are your thoughts on hydropower? That's an interesting one.
on hydropower.
Hydropower.
Well, it's we don't have a lot of it here in the middle of the country. But it's out on the coast and the utilities that do have hydropower. I mean, that'll continue to be a huge part of the industry, especially as we're pushed for kind of cleaner energy.
Mhm.
It can help. It helps with that part of it.
Not going to see a lot of it here, you think? You don't see that as a part of the industry growth in the middle of the US, sounds like.
Not as much. We don't have as much water in the
Mhm.
middle of the US as they do in other parts.
And maybe not use of the rivers that we have around here, not in a big way. Sounds like you don't see that.
I don't see that,
Okay.
but I deliver power, don't make it.
Okay. Well, and that's, you know, it's interesting to think about.
Mhm.
There we have the difference between transmission and making it.
Yep.
So, all right, it looks like that's it for our questions for today. So again, thank you all for joining us and thank you all for being here. I know this is an especially busy time for you all especially, so we appreciate you taking the time out to be here.
Thank you.